Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for this media briefing on migrantworker.gov. I'm Thea Lee, Deputy Undersecretary for International Affairs at the U.S. Department of Labor. I head the Bureau of International Labor Affairs, we call it ILAB. Recently, we rolled out migrantworker.gov in 6 new languages with expanded content and new resources. Our goal is to get valuable information into the hands of migrant workers in this country about their rights and protections under U.S. law. Migrantworker.gov and trabajadormigrante.gov was originally launched in August 2023 in just 2 languages, English and Spanish. Now we have rolled out 6 additional languages: Haitian Creole, Brazilian Portuguese, Vietnamese, Simplified Chinese, Tagalog, and Arabic. ILAB promotes labor rights and social protection for workers globally. This work is integral to the department's work to ensure good jobs for workers here in the United States. Our mandate includes protecting the rights of all workers, but particularly the most vulnerable to exploitation, who might be hesitant to come forward if their rights are violated. ILAB also works with other governments to strengthen their capacity to protect labor rights and to ensure that people have access to good jobs to remain and thrive in their home countries. When workers do migrate to the United States, we want to ensure they know their rights, that those rights are protected, and that U.S. employers are engaging in ethical and fair recruitment processes. Last year, the United States signed on to the International Labor Organization's Fair Recruitment Guidelines, and we are working with partner governments, the private sector, and migrant worker organizations to aid in its implementation. We work closely with our colleagues in the Department of Labor's domestic agencies and with foreign embassies and consulates through the Consular Partnership Program. Migrantworker.gov is a critical part of those efforts. When migrant workers cross borders for work, they also cross multiple legal, policy, and geographic jurisdictions. Understanding who does what and where they should go for help can be confusing for anyone, but particularly for migrant workers who sometimes do not speak English, likely do not understand how these systems work, and are often afraid to come forward with questions or concerns. This is why we created migrantworker.gov. It is a central repository of information for migrant workers. It gets them the answers to the questions they need and links them quickly to the right agency. We've also created short videos meant to reach migrant workers through social media and on their phones based on scenarios and common questions in a plain language and worker-friendly format. Finally, we know we need to reach migrant workers in their own language, and that is why we are delighted to expand migrantworker.gov with 6 new languages. The development of these materials and the choice of languages was informed by input from migrant workers and their advocates, as well as our analysis of the data. Nothing would be possible without the extensive collaboration among other Department of Labor agencies in making this possible, including the Wage and Hour Division, the Assistant Secretary for Policy, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, the Women's Bureau, and the Office of Public Affairs, which have been instrumental in ensuring the effectiveness and reach of migrantworker.gov. We encourage you to explore migrantworker.gov and hope you will help us spread awareness among migrant workers and their communities about these resources. I'll pass now to my colleague, Elizabeth Pena, who is going to walk you through the website and the new content. Elizabeth?
Thank you so much, Deputy Undersecretary Lee. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Pena, and I'm the advisor for ILAB. In the screen, you'll be able to see, as I speak, a view of what migrantworker.gov is and the sections that we offer. Like Deputy Undersecretary Lee stated, the website aims to provide a platform to answer common labor questions, inform migrant workers of their rights, and direct them to the resources available to them that can help them throughout their journey, from recruitment to working in the United States and to safely returning home. The website is set up in a simple question and answer format where migrant workers could go directly and get the answers to the questions that are most commonly asked. The website currently offers resources available in English, Spanish, Arabic, Simplified Chinese, Haitian Creole, Brazilian Portuguese, Tagalog, and Vietnamese. The website language and social media videos were particularly designed with a gender lens, addressing also specific challenges faced by migrant women workers, but also broadly applicable in many cases to all migrant workers. This website aims to raise awareness about the most commonly faced problems by migrant workers, and it highlights the Department of Labor's commitment and efforts to protect migrant worker rights in partnership with all other USG agencies and other government partners, as well from the Consular Partnership Program and civil society stakeholders. This website aims to strengthen collaboration and links across various initiatives and jurisdictions. So the website currently has these following sections: a section on recruitment, on migrant worker rights, wages and hours, workplace safety and health, with significant new information, including transportation safety and information about heat, organizing rights, discrimination and harassment, retaliation, trafficking, support from your home country, how to file a claim, and other resources, like the Workers Owed Wages pilot program from the Department of Labor, information on human trafficking, information on gender-based violence and harassment. And we are excited that with this new launch that occurred about a month ago, new videos have been creating covering the following topics: transportation safety, unlawful recruitment fees, the Wage and Hours Division's Workers Owed Wages program, a video on providing urgent maternal protections for nursing mothers or the PUMP Act, document or passport retention, mental health and wellness, deportation threats, and a video on how to file a complaint. The previous videos that were launched in August 2023 included topics on recruitment fees, bathroom breaks, privacy and cleanliness, owed wages, paycheck issues, workplace safety, and excessive heat. From now until Labor Rights Week and Labor Day, we will be releasing more resources for migrant workers. These will include 3 short Know Your Rights comic book style graphics on common concerns related to housing and recruitment faced by workers in the H-2 visa program. We'll also be releasing videos in Indigenous languages on migrant worker rights. We are rolling all out of these resources through our DOL social media accounts, and we're encouraging amplification by other USG agencies, regional offices, our Consular Partnership Program partners, embassies, consulates, and our stakeholder partners. Links to this website have been added across USG agencies, and dissemination through partnerships with foreign embassies and consulates will facilitate access to migrant workers. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we will now open up for questions for those journalists online. Please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you. And let's start with Logan Church.
Hi there. Yes, Logan Church from Television New Zealand. Hope you can hear me. I'm just wondering if you could perhaps explain for our audience who are not in America exactly what risks that migrant workers in particular face when they come to America and work in America. Thank you.
Thank you, Logan, for the question. I would say it's a pretty broad question, and it depends a little bit on the circumstances under which migrant workers come to the United States, if they come legally or illegally on a visa, if they're working in agriculture. But we certainly have seen that even on the legal visa programs, workers in agriculture sometimes can be subjected to heat stress. Maybe migrant workers in general, and I would say this is not just in the United States, but around the world, tend to be a little bit more vulnerable to wage theft, to unpaid overtime hours, and issues like that. So I think we just recognize in the United States, because we have a lot of folks who are coming, who may have language challenges, who may or may not be here legally, that we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect their rights. So I think that they face a lot of challenges, maybe not even all that different from the challenges that American citizens might face, but because of some of the sectors that they're employed in, because many of them are here temporarily and are unfamiliar with the systems, they're unfamiliar with the laws, so the laws in the United States, of course, are going to be different from the labor laws in other countries. So we just want to make sure that we are educating migrant workers so that they know their rights and can exercise their rights. We also want to educate our own employers to make sure that they know how to recruit responsibly and how to comply with all applicable laws and standards.
Thank you for that. We'll take our next question from Nigeria. Adaba Owiza from Africa Related.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this. My question is regarding your definitions of the difference between the migrant workers and undocumented workers, and how you'd also react to criticisms or anybody who says that how are you able to extend these courtesy to migrant workers, possibly who are just coming in, when it is also known that the U.S. is home to a lot of workers that are not documented. If you can just clarify these points for us. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think, for the purpose of migrantworker.gov and the resources that we're providing here, we want those to be available to all workers in this country. Some of them will be documented, some of them will be undocumented. But the truth is that American labor laws apply to workers, that people shouldn't have to work long hours without pay. They should be able to exercise their rights. They should have a safe and healthy workplace. They should not be subject to violence or harassment. So for this particular website, this resource that we're providing, what we really want to reinforce is that every worker needs to be protected, and every worker should be able to be safe and healthy at work and get paid for the hours they do, get paid legally. So obviously there are different provisions, and workers who are undocumented tend to be more vulnerable. They're more precarious. They're more fearful of coming forward because they fear deportation and other risks. Elizabeth, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, and I think that was one of the most important things when we took upon looking at the research and talking to our stakeholders as well. That difference, right? We did not want to make a difference between workers that were here with like a legal status or undocumented status. Regardless of immigration status, they have rights as workers. And we wanted to provide that within this website, that no matter how you are here in this country, you deserve to be treated fairly, and you have all of these rights available and resources available to you.
Thank you. We will take our next question from Patricia Caro from El País. She asked, what does the department do for protecting workers from excessive heat? Many states don't have laws to protect them.
Thank you very much, Tricia, for that question. This is something that the Labor Department is working to develop a heat standard that will be applicable, but we are in process of putting that in place. But in the meantime, we just want to make sure that both employers and workers are aware of some of the risks of heat stress, that they are, certainly provided water and rest breaks and some respite from the heat if possible. So some of this is not at the level of law at this time, but it is at the level of certainly common sense and decency. And we are working in the Department of Labor. Our Occupational Safety and Health Administration is in process of developing and getting approval for and putting through the legislative system a new heat stress standard. But in the meantime, we just want to make sure that people are taking good care and that they're getting protections they deserve to stay healthy even during heat.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands raised, so I will do one final call for questions. If you have a question, please raise your virtual hand and we will be happy to call on you. And with that, we do have one more question from Africa Related Nigeria again. Adaba, do you want to go ahead with your question? And we have another question. What is the average time that an undocumented worker needs for his or her documents?
I'm afraid I don't have the answer to that off the top of my head. And I think it varies a lot. Obviously, the person's asking for the average time, but I'm afraid I don't have that, but we can try to provide that to you, at least, Doris, and maybe that can be available at a later date.
Thank you. And Adaba, are you able to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, thank you so much. Again, I was just wondering what exists in other countries, if offices, agencies like yours, exist within, perhaps the European Union or in Britain. I know in Greece we just heard about migrants that were thrown overboard. There were, testimonies from these individuals that experienced that. So I was just wondering if you know of any of such offices like yours that also help to protect migrants abroad. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. In ALAB, we try to work with other countries as well to address these issues for migrant workers. Cannot speak particularly to what offices may exist, but for example, we do work closely with other countries, for example, Mexico, where they are able to provide kind of these resources for their migrant workers as well, and kind of give just a view of how we do things and kind of like a guiding resources on how we address these issues for migrant workers. Like we mentioned in our consular partnership program, we partner with other countries as well. Right now, we currently have partnerships with the Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico, where we provide also these resources for them. I don't know, Thea, if you'd like to add anything.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I mean, just in a very general sense, I would say, because I've been in this job a little over 3 years now, and I've traveled all over the world. And I think, migrant workers in many countries face a lot of challenges around vulnerability, around exploitation, about not being able to join a union, for example, to exercise their rights to freedom of association. And recruitment fees and debt bondage can be a particular problem, that workers come to work, and the recruitment process, which happens sometimes, below the radar, that it's not up above board, there isn't transparency and clarity in that process. That can be a real problem area, and that's why we're so pleased to partner with the International Labor Organization. The ILO is bringing together countries so that we can share best practices, so that we can understand what some of the challenges are that workers are facing around the world, but also work together to start with the sending country, the receiving country, and everything in between, so that before workers ever leave home, we want to give them some resources about what their rights are, what they can expect, what's fair and what isn't fair. And then when they come to the United States, of course, but even when they go back home again, as many do, that they also have a nice pathway towards reintegration or retraining, or they can take maybe the languages they've accumulated and put that to use. So I think this is an ongoing process, and I think it's a challenge in many parts of the world, and other countries are stepping up with different resources. But I think this is unique, and we're proud of it, and we look forward to sharing it with other governments.
Thank you. We are out of time for questions. I will turn it back to our briefers for any closing remarks.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity, for giving us this space to share migrantworker.gov, trabajadormigrante.gov. We are excited, to be able to share it and to keep expanding this, including more resources. If there are any questions, please, you can always let us know. Reach out. We're happy to share these resources. We're happy to conduct interviews, more briefings about migrantworker.gov, and hope that they can get into the hands of migrant workers. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Doris. Many thanks to the Foreign Press Center for hosting us today. And we just invite you to go to the website, check it out, and then share with us any information, or whether you have any ideas or concepts for how we could improve and strengthen it, because it is a work in progress, and we are constantly putting together new resources, new videos, new languages that we hope will serve a lot of populations well. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Doris, for hosting us.
And a special thank you to our briefers today, and thank you to the journalists who joined us this afternoon. And this concludes today's briefing.